Need an assist on finding a new vehicle? Head to Bob Moore Ford because we're dishing out deals on our entire inventory, like the 2013 F-150 or F-250. Pick yours, then roll out. Visit BobMooreFordOKC.com for a chance to win our monthly prize.
Durant, pull-up jumper, off the rim, and and the Thunder win! Come on, let's sing the Thunder song. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Thunder Buddies podcast. I'm here again with Darnell Mayberry and our special guest. We haven't had you on in a while, I don't think. Barry Trammell is back on the show. Barry, how long's it been?
Have I been on since the new year?
Maybe.
I think maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, good time to have you back on. It was a slightly large game in Oklahoma City last night. Heat kind of rolled the Thunder. LeBron puts on a show. Initial thoughts from either of you?
Well, it wasn't the heat. It was the humility. Thunder got just whacked around. So I think they're back to square one on dealing with Miami. Back to where they were before they went down to Miami in late January.
It was impressive by the Heat. Darnell, what did you think?
I think Barry Trammell put it best in his column. Let's go Pacers.
And now in full disclosure, I stole the line from RFD.
Doesn't matter where it came from.
It was a good line.
The point stands. Let's go Pacers. If the Thunder wants to win a championship, they better pray. This year, they better pray that the Pacers knock off the Heat. I think that much has become clear.
I think it might take prayer.
Prayer?
Yeah.
A little bit, but
1.5. Miami's only 1.5 back, and if you looked at the schedules, Heat has a much more favorable schedule the rest of the way.
When the Thunder went down to Miami and, pretty much walloped the Heat, even without Westbrook, people were talking about, have they figured it out? And I was kind of, it was unsustainable what they did down there. 16 threes, but that was a franchise record, right?
Yep.
I mean, so what they did there is not going to happen. They're not going to play that well all the time. The Heat aren't going to play that bad. We were saying that, and then yesterday it got completely flipped, I thought. I mean, the Thunder played one of their worst games we've seen all year. And some of it was the Heat, but some of it was just Durant looked kind of disengaged at times. Westbrook was obviously working himself back. They go 2 of 20 from three. Lamb and Fisher went 9 of 11 in Miami. They went 0 of 8 from deep last night. There was a lot of factors that played into it last night. I'm not willing to say if these two teams face off in the finals that the Heat are for sure going to win. I'd favor the Heat. I'd pick the Heat if we were doing a projection, but I could still see the Thunder beating them in the finals. The Heat have flaws. Didn't really show last night.
They do have flaws, but they don't seem to have many that the Thunder can expose. And the Thunder's going to have to take care of the ball too.
No doubt, but
because
I mean
the Heat lives off steals. And they just I think Thunder had 7 turnovers in the first 5 minutes or 6 minutes, whatever it was.
Yeah.
The last 6 of those 7 were live ball turnovers, and the Heat turned all 6 into quick baskets. You can't do that or you're going to lose. You're just going to lose. So they got to take care of the ball.
Yeah, true. But, I mean, I could just – look, like I said, I'd favor the Heat. All of what you guys are saying is true. But, I mean, if we come June and Wade looked as good as I've seen him in a while last night. Bosh played well. The Thunder played poorly. I mean, stuff can change between now and then. Wade's knees can be
very bad strategy by the Thunder last night. Serge needed to whack Wade on the nose because you go popping Wade in the nose and it knocks him out for a couple 3 weeks and slows him down. It's like hitting LeBron in the nose, like hitting Superman in the nose. Doesn't phase him. So the one you got to take out's Wade, not LeBron.
Well, I think if you take either of them out, Heat aren't winning, but I see what you're saying. Anyway, I mean, what did you guys think of Durant last night, though? Overall, I mean, like I said, disengaged, unenergized at times. I mean, he got hot a little bit late in the third. I think he had like a little 7-0 run, but kind of surprising. He was that unenergized for a game. He had a week off. Obviously, LeBron's coming into his house. How surprised were you?
I was very surprised. He tried to downplay it before the game, saying it's not a playoff game. It's not a the game that's going to decide whether you make it to the playoffs. He was doing everything he could to downplay the game and the matchup.
And then he almost looked like he did it in the game.
And then he went out there and was disengaged. He didn't seem like he took the challenge on offense or defense. He kept getting stripped when he drove the lane offensively, turnovers, bad passes, and then he just got abused defensively by LeBron. So it was a bad game for him. He finishes with 28 points, and I think a lot of people look at that and say, oh, he had a good game. It wasn't that bad. It was a bad game. It was a horrible game.
All things considered, probably his worst game of the year.
Well, you say that, and production-wise, here's what's interesting. He had one more rebound than LeBron. He had the same number of assists. He had 3 less turnovers, even though he had 5. LeBron had 8.
Yeah.
And they each took 22 shots. Now, the difference in the game basically was that, Durant made 10, LeBron made 15. And the truth of the matter is both of them scored a bunch on transition, easy baskets. Durant got a bunch at the end off some breakaways. He didn't really ever get into the flow of the offense. But the disappointing thing to me on Durant was not his production. It was the things you were talking about, RFD. He just seemed a little bit passive, a little bit.
How much of that had to do with Westbrook coming back? Because I didn't think it was a good game for Russell to come back.
You don't know. It's a great question. You don't know. It was a lot going on. It was the first game back from the All-Star break when, I think Reggie Jackson or somebody said it anyway. You're always rusty in that first game back. Miami had trouble putting away Dallas on Tuesday night.
Thunder couldn't complete a pass early.
Yeah, and then you got the Westbrook return. If you remember back in November, the Thunder was a little bit squishy. Somebody's calling.
Keep going.
Back in November, if you remember Westbrook's first return, Thunder was squishy against Phoenix. Now Phoenix a lot better than we knew at the time, but they were squishy then. So, and I do think Durant is tired, and the All-Star break doesn't help anybody's. If you're the All-Star break helps you recover unless you're involved in the All-Star festivities, then it just makes you more tired.
Right.
So it was a funky game to sort of kick off the second half season. It would have been much better for the Thunder if they were playing Cleveland last night.
But it brings up another great point or question is, what style of play will we see from Durant now that Westbrook's back? Will we see him defer? And what's better for the team? Will we see him continue to defer to Westbrook, or will we see this new attitude?
Well, let me ask you this. What did we see last night?
Not Kevin Durant. I don't know what we saw last night.
But I don't think we saw Russell Westbrook either. No? I mean, it wasn't like Westbrook wasn't dominating the ball. He wasn't dominating play. He wasn't
really
forcing things.
Shot. Wasn't even really looking for a
shot.
He
wasn't. I mean, I didn't think – I thought Westbrook was a little more like Reggie Jackson last night than Russell Westbrook. So, I mean, I have a hard time blaming Durant's malaise on Russell.
No,
I don't think it's blaming Durant's play on Russell. I think it is saying that Russell's presence played a factor in Kevin Durant's approach.
Well, if it did, it wasn't because of what Russell was doing.
It was because
just because he was back.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, not at all.
Yeah,
but Kevin Durant does have a tendency to say, "Okay, Russell, go do your thing." And I think we saw that last night.
Maybe a little bit offensively, but there was times we're talking, the Heat get a steal and he's kind of lollygagging back. And he's not defending.
bad.
Or LeBron's getting him in the post, and that post up early in the game, he threw him down to the baseline and laid it in.
That was a back end.
So I mean, there was a lot of factors beyond offense, beyond taking shots, where Durant he didn't look like he's looked at all this season.
I didn't mind the post up as much as I minded the back door that he gave up to LeBron. He just completely lost LeBron.
And then he was kind of looking at his teammates and, yelling at the refs after no calls when he was getting stripped. It was a weird game from him.
Yeah, he didn't seem emotionally invested to me.
First time in at least 2 months I was watching, he's having a bad night.
And it was from the start.
Yeah.
It started early.
Well, I mean, you had the good stat, I think, in your story, RFD. LeBron had 14 points before Durant took a shot.
Yep.
7, 8, 14.
It was a 14-0 run, and Durant hadn't even taken a shot.
Not good. That's not good.
No. Well, we talked a little bit about Westbrook. That was kind of it was the big story that kind of turned into the side story off last night. I mean, what'd you guys think?
It's going to take some time.
He looked very rusty, but athletically he looked okay. I just thought, just technique-wise, he seemed completely out of sorts.
Yeah.
And you could tell he was frustrated because it wasn't coming back to him. But I thought the longer the game went, the more he got involved and was more himself.
Yeah. He was kind of like dribbling it, sloppily dribbling it. He got some passes tipped, and you could see he was like brushing his hand on his shirt, kind of looking at his hands a little bit weird. I think it's interesting how they're handling him this time around. You could tell they're taking – after what happened last time they brought him back and it was immediately, 35 minutes, go to the rim, whatever, no restrictions. This time, I mean, obviously we know about the minutes restriction, but during the game he's over there on the bike. And, I mean, we saw him. Sometimes he'd come over to the press table during timeouts. He was doing like, I don't know, want to call them like knee drills, but, I mean, he's doing stuff during the game. I feel like they're taking it way more serious this time around as far as, slowly integrating him back and making sure that knee's all right.
Don't tell them that.
I tried to today.
According to them, they did everything they could have the first time.
That's what they said, but they didn't. So, But, I mean, it's obviously the right move.
Well, especially when you got a guy that's as solid as Reggie Jackson. It's not, and I thought the game sort of stabilized for the Thunder when Reggie came in yesterday.
He was good yesterday. I mean, he shot 3 of 9, which I looked at that.
Yeah, I did too. That surprised me.
Really?
He missed some at the end, but, he came in and they started running some offense. He got the alley-oop to Durant, and he got the pass to Ibaka for a dunk, and they actually started looking like a team. So
a couple nice
they don't
finishes.
have to have Russell play 38 minutes a game.
I think they're going to have to play Reggie with Russell.
Yeah. And they did that quite
early.
a bit.
I think they're going to have to do it.
I want to kind of get your thought on this because, I mean, I wasn't as, confused by it as he was, but he didn't know why they went to Perry Jones early in the third when Perkins goes out. He thought they should have gone with Westbrook.
Well, he made a good point. RFD made a good point. If Perry Jones isn't going to cover LeBron, why is he on the court?
Yeah.
And to me, that's a legitimate question.
They made the decision at the start of the third quarter to put Thabo on LeBron. You even pointed it out, LeBron pointing down to Thabo saying, he's too small. He's too small. So if you're going with Thabo, throw out another dynamic offensive player. Reggie Jackson can make some things happen offensively. Now, defense was the biggest problem last night. No doubt about it. But the offense stunk. And if Kevin Durant is off like he was and Russell Westbrook is nowhere near Russell Westbrook, throw out your third-best offensive player and give yourself some help.
Defense might have been – I think offense might have been the bigger problem last night, actually. I mean, 81 points on 95 possessions.
When a team comes out and makes 13 of the first 14 shots, defense is your biggest problem.
Well, but here's the problem with Miami's scoring. A bunch of that was just off the Thunder's offense.
The turnovers.
Yeah.
Turnovers and letting those guys get to the races. When they made Miami set up, the Thunder defense often was acceptable. Yeah. But when Miami's off to the races –
especially when your transition D's lackadaisical.
Yeah. They weren't getting back.
Get back.
They weren't getting back at all. So it was a bad day at BlackRock.
Got to get Reggie in there though. As long as Russell's not Russell, you got to get Reggie in there.
It's a good point.
You can't forget about what you can't forget about what you saw and what you had out of Reggie. Now, just because Russell's back now, I think you got to play those guys together.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But.
And Lamb won't shoot as poorly as he did last night. He was just off.
2 for 20. And I kept waiting for the Derek Fisher big shot to come, and it never came.
And
he hit one about 25 or 20 footer or so with his foot on the line. I thought was kind of going to get the Thunder going.
Barry, I got to pop you on something.
What did I do?
You said Serge Ibaka was a better player than Chris Bosh.
You did,
and still believe that?
Yeah, I would still. First of all, it was a tough decision.
Not that tough.
I was not at all an easy decision. I just took Ibaka because I think he's a bigger game changer with his defense than Bosh is with his offense. And I think we saw some of that last night. Then we gave him 1 block, but I wrote him down for 2, and there were 2 other, Chalmers and somebody else, had wide open layups. And Ibaka comes flying through, and they miss just because they know here comes Serge Ibaka.
Bosh is an above-average defender, and he's really good for the Heat as far as coverages, and he's really good on the pick and roll, and he's their only big. And then offensively, he's just a more knowledgeable basketball player than Bosh. And I'm not just talking about the shooting or the range or any of that. I'm talking.
He's very good.
His pump fake.
He's
his ability to pass.
He's an excellent player.
His ability to pass.
His ability to put it on the floor, create his own shot. Like that's the thing we want to see from Serge. Yeah. We want to see him be able to create his own shot, not rely so heavily on KD and Russ. Put it on the floor, put your back to the basket, do something to make yourself a threat. If Serge could do that, we're not talking about 20 turnovers last night and, a bunch of runouts for Miami.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think, I put it in that roundtable we had. Chris Bosh is a better basketball player than Serge Ibaka at this point. But I also put it in, I don't think the Thunder would trade Ibaka for Bosh right now.
No.
Just skill set wise, they need Ibaka.
One guy's 29, 30. The other guy's 24.
And I don't even mean in that way, although that obviously is a good point. I mean as far as the skill set that Ibaka brings to Thunder. I'm not sure they'd want Bosh because they don't need anyone who's going to, want more shots, and they need more of a rim protection type defender, not a Kendrick Perkins type. I know where I'm going to be. I think Ibaka matters more to the Thunder in that way than Bosh would. But, I think Bosh is a better basketball player.
Yeah.
All right, you guys want to go to some Twitter questions?
If they're good.
Any good ones?
I'm not good. I'm not interested in bad Twitter questions.
All right.
Or even any non-Twitter questions.
Okay. This one, there was two questions kind of about this. This one I see right now is from Alan Falico. He says, when will Scott Brooks integrate more ball movement on the perimeter more than just using the high pick and roll? It was kind of something that last time, you remember that one play the Heat had last night where I think LeBron swings it inside,
flipped it around,
and they just corner, swing. I think it was like a Chalmers wide open three.
What I would ask is when's the Patriots going to integrate more quarterback run game?
Well,
they're not going to. If somebody's sitting around waiting for the Thunder to become a great perimeter passing team that throws the ball around, and it's not going to happen. That's not what they do.
I think there needs to be more of that.
That's not going to happen. You can pass it a little bit, but that's not what they do, and it's not what they're ever going to do with this core of players.
Yeah, I'll say one thing in defense of Scott Brooks. He doesn't have the personnel.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit of it is on him because he's got guys on the bench who he could easily throw in the lineup. But
like Nick
when your starting
lineup
is got Kendrick Perkins and Thabo Sefolosha, there's only so much swinging around you can do.
And Serge Ibaka is not a fluid, like we were just talking about. He's not a guy that's going to catch it and swing.
He's getting better. He's getting better, but he's still not there. But you can tell
when he catches it, it's shot first, I'm looking at the hoop, and then it's, okay, I should pass, and it has to go through his mind. It's not a fluid.
Well, and they've got and their two best offensive players are shoot first guys, which I'm glad about. They ought to be, and guys that really their best passing. The Westbrook and Durant are pretty good passers, mostly off the dribble, off penetration. They're not a swing the ball team.
The thing is, when they go to the bench, sometimes they are, and that's why their bench, even though they don't have the stars, actually is kind of effective because Carlson gets out there and he's kind of a fluid passer. Fisher, Lamb's usually hitting that three when people are swinging.
And Reggie Jackson,
yeah. So, we covered that, but.
Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops is calling me right in the middle of the podcast.
I think you better take that one.
Yeah, bring him on the podcast.
Let's see what Bob Stoops has to say.
Here, come
You're
on.
You're going to miss it. Hurry.
Hello.
I want to hear what Bob Stoops. Maybe he had some thoughts on the Heat.
He was at the game. He was at the game. He could talk.
He was at the game. I'll call him back when the podcast is over.
That's dedication. Yeah. This is why you have an open invitation to the Thunder Buddies podcast.
I believe in fulfilling commitments.
Now, 60% of Oklahomans might think you're crazy for what you just did.
Well, I think I'm getting back here in 10 or 15 minutes. I don't know.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope so, because if you don't, then I'm gonna feel bad.
I'll put it in the paper. Bob Stoops was unavailable for comment because I was doing a Thunder podcast. Trying to defend my pick of Serge Ibaka over Chris Bosh.
All right. This is completely switching off subject a little bit, but I've had a lot of questions like this today. With rumors circulating that Danny Granger is getting bought out, any chance the Thunder make a play for him? And we can just move this into any of the guys that are getting bought out, because obviously the Thunder didn't make a move at the deadline, but they've got Derek Fisher in the past on this kind of bought out scenario. Do you see any guys? Let me throw some names out there. Big Baby Davis just got bought out, although it sounds like the Clippers and Heat are interested in him. Jason Terry might get bought out. There's rumors that Ben Gordon, and then obviously I think Danny Granger would probably be the best fit if you get him for a minimum deal. 2 open spots on the Thunder roster right now.
Yeah, I'm not looking at roster spots. I'm looking at how much under the luxury tax.
I think they're over $2 million, so they could sign anybody to a minimum.
So that's okay. I would think Danny Granger would be the best.
Yeah,
I agree.
That would be a good fit.
Of the guys you mentioned, if they didn't have Fish, I would say Ben Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben Gordon's not going to step on this team and knowing Scott Brooks play over Derek Fisher. But Ben Gordon is the exact kind of guy I think would fit perfectly, just because he can shoot it, he can create. Not much of a defender, but
no. Daquan Cook.
They could really use Ben Gordon shooting. So,
boy, Danny Granger, that would be interesting.
If
Danny Granger could play though, like if his knees can hold up and he can give you 10, 15 minutes a night.
There's talk that the Heat was going to look at Danny Granger.
Oh, definitely, and I think Granger may to a little to the Pacers for trading him to the Sixers. That'd be a good landing spot, that'd be a good landing spot for him. So, but I mean, let's see his numbers this year right now. He's shooting.
I think he's still averaging 13 points a game, isn't he?
8.3.
Oh, 8.3.
He's only playing 22 minutes. Shooting 36%, shooting only 33% from 3, but he's a 38% career 3-point shooter. I mean, we're talking about a guy that in 08-09 for 3 straight years he averaged 25.8 points, 24.1.
He's an all-star. Yeah, he was once an all-star.
I think he'd be a good fit.
I think you get him on the cheap now. Sell yourself as an organization, as a franchise, as a city. And then see if you can re-sign him for even a better deal or a sweetheart deal next summer.
Yeah, talk about player development.
What kind of whose spot would he sort of morph into?
Thabo Cephalosha.
Yeah.
Now he's not a shooting guard, but
can he guard anybody?
Danny Granger, yeah.
Well,
if he's healthy, and he can play. Now we don't know if he can play anymore, but if you get him at a minimum deal now and you got the money, it's not going to send you over the tax. You're not forced to play him 30 minutes a night. I think it's a low-risk, high-reward move. Typical Sam Presti.
I wanted the Thunder to get Iman Shumpert.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted him to get. Because, look.
Where was he going to play?
If his knee may not play at all the rest of the year. But my point was, who cares? He's a perfect replacement for Thabo if Thabo signs elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because he can guard on the perimeter.
I didn't believe much of that.
You didn't believe?
I thought it was a lot of smoke.
That he was a good defender?
No. That the Thunder was actually going after him.
Well, you could be right. But I just thought that was a great fit. If he pans out where he could play a little this year, great. If not, I thought he'd been an excellent insurance for Thabo.
Yeah. Thabo might not be back, and he could be a nice little fill-in.
They need somebody to guard if Thabo leaves.
They got Slater's boy.
Roberson?
Yeah.
I don't know why that's my boy.
He's a little he's got to be a year away, doesn't he?
At least.
Yeah. The shots,
I love him to death.
Shot's never going to get
he's
there.
He's a super
either.
guy, but I don't see it. I don't see it.
I see him being maybe a 15, 20 minute per game type guy off the bench where you just throw him on a hot scorer. He gets you some rebounds. He gets you some, maybe if they play off him, he gets a dunk. He's a high energy guy like that. They put him in L.A., and he
helped them down in L.A.
He helped them.
There was helpfulness going on in L.A., no doubt about it.
Because they were throwing doubles at Durant, and I think a couple times he hit him with cuts and dunks, and I thought it was interesting. Any of those other guys or anybody else?
Nah, Ben Gordon. Oh man,
you don't like Ben Gordon?
I don't like him at all.
Man,
yeah. At all.
I hadn't seen Ben Gordon shoot apparently.
Well, I mean, maybe in his days
Thunder
at
wouldn't
UConn,
have gone 2 of 20 last night if they had Ben Gordon.
I might have went 3 out of 46.
He's gonna get him up. Oh man,
Ben Gordon's there's about 3 guys in the league that thinks there's a 4-point line, and he's one of them.
What's Ben Gordon's numbers this year?
Oh, I can't wait to see.
I wonder where he's gonna land. He's gonna help somebody. If he goes to a contender, he's gonna help.
Ben Gordon's got a worse reputation.
What if he goes to the Clippers? Could he be a good fit, or is
He'd
Crawford
be perfect fit for the Clippers?
Is Jamal Crawford enough?
He would fit in perfect with the Clippers.
Mr. Clipper over here, Slater.
What?
Is Ben Gordon a good fit on the Clippers, or is Jamal Crawford? You can't have both of those guys.
Heck, you can have.
I don't think you put Gordon. Man, his numbers are not impressive this year.
No kidding.
I think he's got a worse reputation because of the deal that Joe Dumars signed him for in
because
Detroit.
he wouldn't play for the Bobcats. Nobody leaves Charlotte with a good reputation.
Well,
he didn't get to Charlotte with a good reputation.
There's some guys in Charlotte right now that Thunder or any other team would love, but Ben Gordon, 5.3 points per game in 15 minutes. He's shooting 28% from 3 this year.
That's terrible.
No kidding. What did he shoot the year before? 3-point.
Better.
38.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a career 40% shooter, but he's been brutal this year.
That's better than all the guys we've talked about. Dunleavy, Gary Neal, Anthony Morrow,
Granger,
Roger
even.
Mason. That's better than all of those guys.
His first 5 years in the league, and 7 of his first 9, he shot over 40% from 3.
The guy can fill it up, I'm telling you.
But the thing is, he used to be able to fill it up. He's been brutal this year.
What do you mean used to? Just last year. How many games he played this year?
18.
18 games. So for 18 games, he hadn't shot the ball well, and
I'm
now
not
he
big
can't
on
do
Ben
anything
Gordon.
anymore.
You're getting old. And
Old. He's 28, 29 years old.
I bet he's older than that. I bet he's 32.
30. So you're wrong, and you're wrong.
I was the closest without going over.
We're not playing The
Hey, I
Price
didn't
is Right.
guess.
The worst rule in game show history.
What do you got against the Price is Right?
That very rule that you can't go over.
You got a
He
better
makes
idea?
a good point.
Yes, I got.
You can go
over.
if you're closer.
I like closest without going over.
I
That's
think
what I grew up on.
Yeah, I grew up on it too, and I thought it was when I was 12 years old. I thought it was absurd.
All right.
You surprised the Thunder didn't do anything at the deadline? I thought you said you didn't think they were,
I
right?
didn't think
Not
they
surprised
were.
at all.
I'm not surprised either.
Not surprised.
I didn't
at
think
all.
they were.
I'm disappointed.
I mean, was there anyone out there with what you had to give up, which was, they weren't going to give up much, that you could have got that was going to come in and be in a rotation?
The thing about Sam Press is he doesn't like to trade draft picks. And nobody does really at this point anymore.
Not many get drafted. I mean, not many get traded anymore.
Because you know what? They trust going out and, they trust themselves to go out in the draft, find somebody, get him, develop him, and turn him into a player way more than they trust. Let's go get this,
And you know what
guy
else?
on a 1-year deal.
You know what else? I think they think you get more value trading draft picks at the draft than you do at mid. In other words, the year they traded those two in the 20s to get up and get Cole Aldrich, the pick didn't work out, but they moved up pretty good in the draft. Got into the 13, 11, 12 range.
Yeah, and we got to remember this offseason is important for them because I think they're going to go. We don't know for sure, but we think they're going to go over the tax next year. They have this Kevin Martin exception. They may want these assets for deals in the offseason.
And here's the other thing. They have traded at the deadline, have traded picks. I mean, they traded a first-round pick to Chicago for Tabo, and it worked out. So they'll do it if they think it's right.
But this was not a desperate situation.
No.
It was not. You're right.
At all.
What's Dallas's record?
32-22, I think, or something like that.
That pick could be coming our way.
It could be, but
I think they're going to have to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, they
It's top 20 protected.
Yeah.
And with the two teams in the East plus the 8, if Dallas makes the playoffs, Thunder gets the pick.
Yeah.
If Dallas misses the playoffs, basically, the pick stays with Dallas for another year.
I almost think the Thunder would rather it stay in Dallas.
Right.
Yeah,
because when you get to 17, it's unprotected.
They want,
I think it's 18.
Whatever year.
They want Dallas to not give them the pick for a few years, and then they want Dallas to just tank. That season.
Go 22-60.
This might shock you, but I got a different take on it.
What is it?
I think they'd rather the pick this year.
Really?
It's a strong draft.
It's a really strong draft. It's a top-heavy draft, but we don't know how,
the problem.
You didn't know Perry Jones was going to fall to 20.
The Thunder.
I'm just saying, this draft I don't think is much different.
But does the Thunder have a lot of spots
12?
on the roster for multiple draft picks? That's what I was thinking.
You don't know what Dallas is going to do in 2018.
No, you're right.
Dallas, with deep-pocketed owner Mark Cuban.
Well, they're always good.
They're always going
They're
to,
always decent.
You could get the 20th pick in a
draft.
Very good draft, or you can have the 17th pick in a lousy draft.
So they'll have,
and you'll have the 20th pick and the 29th or 30th
so
pick.
So they're going to have,
and you can package those picks.
Okay, let me ask you.
With the trade exceptions.
So let's say they have the 21 and 30 pick this year. That's what it's possible.
It's possible.
How high could you put those together? How high could you trade up?
Maybe
14 or 15.
I'd say probably 13, 14.
Yeah, you probably
all right, here's the deal. They don't need 2 more players, I don't think.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what you do. Take the 21 and 30.
That's right.
Or
go up to a 14 range.
Or you take 30 and say, here's a still protected Dallas pick that could be in top 10 come 2017. I think it's more appealing if you got 30 in this kind of like looming pick than here's 30 and 21.
then move up.
We need to do our research on this. When's the last time Dallas had a top 10 pick?
Yeah, but
in the Dirk history, it doesn't happen. Like
forever.
And then as soon as Dirk's done, guess what Mark Cuban's going to do? Go out and get Joshua.
I mean, and as we've seen this
someone
year,
to keep them afloat where you don't want that pick.
Hey, and as we've seen this year, I mean, money guarantees wins, right?
No,
but
guarantees mediocrity.
Dallas is
You're
a
right.
remarkably
guarantees mediocrity.
Hey, listen, Dallas is a remarkably consistent franchise for this reason.
You're right.
They got a lot of money, and they got a good coach.
Yeah,
and they got a culture, and they got a culture and a superstar who's established a culture. By the way, my favorite moment from All-Star Weekend, my single favorite moment was, you probably didn't get to see it, RFD, because I saw it on television, is when Scotty Brooks is addressing the Western All-Stars right before tip-off.
Mm-hmm.
And they have him talking, and he's not really giving them a motivation speech, but he says, congratulations. He basically says, congratulations. It's an honor for all you guys to be here. And he says something like, some of you guys have been here a bunch, but some of you are first-timers. And he listed, I think there was 4 players. Lillard.
There's 3 on each team.
Okay, whatever, how many? 3, Lillard and whoever else.
Anthony Davis and I can't think of
whoever it is. Okay. Now. And he said, this is actually my second All-Star game. And then he pauses a moment and said, both of them as a coach. Obviously, he's cracking a joke. We could only see half the team because it was in a circle and the camera was – some of the guys were behind the camera, but half the squad is on the camera. And only Dirk Nowitzki laughed. But I thought, you know what? Nowitzki's a cool dude. He's laughing at Scotty Brooks' lame jokes. He's a team player all the way. I love Dirk Nowitzki.
I do too. And I agree with you. I mean, in all likelihood, if that pick got to that year, it would probably be between 15 and 25. But I'm just saying there still is that dream scenario for the Thunder, and if they're trying to trade the pick, they can still say, hey, there's this scenario out there where if for some reason this happens where it gets to the year it's unprotected, Dirk's retired and the Mavs strike out in free agency and a couple guys get hurt and they go downhill. Hey, it could be a top 10 pick somehow.
You're dealing with the wrong franchise, though. That's the key thing. If it was the Raptors or the Cavs or the Pistons today, someone like that, then yeah.
Well, I'm saying, can't you with the pick you have, and like you said, you have your pick and you have this unprotected. Can't you sell a team that's confused like that on that?
Yes. You can.
I think you'd rather the pick now.
If you're asking, if you're asking, can Sam Presti outfox a third of the GMs in the league? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Now, it's harder than ever to do that. That's why you didn't see so many trades. You're seeing people a lot more careful. But there are still some pretty susceptible minds out there, shall we say?
Yeah.
Ernie Grunfeld.
Anyway, all right. All-Star Weekend. Barry just mentioned it. You were the only one there, Darnell.
And had a blast.
Give me your best story.
Good. Best story, I'm in a party. Kenny Smith's party.
Oh,
young Ken
knew
Smith.
Right away.
I know him well.
One of my childhood idols.
How do you get into Kenny Smith's party? I mean, was it invite? Is it just go? Or?
Hey, you gotta know the right people.
All right, let me ask you a question. How do you get into Kenny Smith's party? Is it invite or do you just go? There was a question before the court.
Well, you got to know the right people.
So did
Your Honor, permission to treat the witness as hostile. How'd you get in? Did you get an invitation?
You got to have a ticket.
Okay. Somebody gave you a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay.
He ain't going to share his source.
For crying out loud, that was difficult information to ascertain.
I wanted to feel big time, like I knew somebody. I don't know anybody. I wanted to
How'd
make
you get
it seem
the
like I knew the right people.
You were at the party. We were just watching the game on television. You were at Ken Smith's party. His daughter, the recording star, probably sang.
We're wasting way too much time on this because the story is not even all that great. Gary Payton was strolling through the party. I went up and got to talk to GP.
GP?
The glove. One of my childhood idols. I got to tell him how much I respect. I had seen him earlier in the day at the Hall of Fame announcement, but this was a different setting. Everybody let their hair down, had a couple.
Everybody shots?
No, not thankfully, no. But it was a great time, though.
New Orleans is a great place for that event and other similar events.
I was down on it. I thought going in.
The compactness of it is great.
It is.
Remember in Houston? We were in Houston.
We're going all over the place.
You drive all over the place to go 2 miles. It takes 30 minutes.
But you hate Houston, though. I mean, let's be honest.
Who doesn't?
I love Houston.
The humidity's 80% and the traffic is out of the world.
We got
crazy.
humidity here. It ain't like Houston.
It ain't like Houston.
But we got humidity here.
But we don't have the traffic. I'll take the humidity
jealous.
over the traffic.
I met my other favorite player as a child. My very best favorite player. My favorite.
Norm Nixon.
A little before my day.
Who?
Weisenheimer over here. Penny Hardaway.
Penny Hardaway. I
Took
saw
a picture with him.
Oh, really?
I had to hit him with the
New Twitter, Abby.
I had to hit him with
Fernie, we call him.
Normally I don't do this, but
Oh, jeez.
and he was cool. Penny Hardaway, my childhood
cool.
idol.
You ever got
Sports
your
idol.
picture? You ever got your picture taken with somebody? AC.
Yeah, my parents.
Try to play along here. Play nicely, or you're going to have to sit in the corner.
Jeez, I don't know. Not really. I'm not that kind of. I don't.
You're not-
I'm not either. Like, what am I gonna do with this picture of
Yeah,
me
what
and
are you
Penny
gonna-
Hardaway?
what are you gonna do with
I'm
it?
probably gonna delete it from my phone in the next.
Make it
2 weeks.
your avatar on Twitter.
It wasn't a very good picture.
Barry, you need a new Twitter, Abby.
What is mine?
It's just your mugshot from the paper.
Is it okay?
Here's the problem with taking pictures with NBA players when you're me. I'm 5'8" and they're not. So it
Very
just
few
looks,
of 'em.
It looks bad.
Well, you got a few. You could Muggsy Bogues,
He's got his weird
Boykin.
David Stern picture.
Spud Webb,
Yeah.
Nate Robinson.
Ty Lawson.
Ty Lawson's not very tall. You know, when I was a kid, guys, a 5'11" point guard was considered a freak of nature. Players are getting both bigger and smaller. That's my theory in the NBA. Everybody's getting bigger, but also everybody's getting smaller.
Yeah.
You couldn't let Monty Tao played a little bit. You couldn't have a 5'10" point guard in the NBA in 1974. Just wasn't done.
All right, I got a quick All-Star question. One last one because I'm thinking about next year. I'm thinking about somehow getting you sick or something
Good
so I
luck
can
with that
go.
one. Barry, you know what the All-Star game is
Yeah,
next
that's
year?
what I want
It's
to
in New
ask.
York City.
Oh man,
Good luck with that, Slater. Go ahead. What's
you're
your
gonna
question?
come down with some food poisoning.
I'm not going to eat anything around
right
you.
around
Let me tell you what I
February
like.
8th.
Let me tell you what I like.
John's Pizzeria in New York City.
New York. Oh, I was in New York City with RFD. How about that? We had dinner together in New York City.
It was
We haven't even
fantastic.
talked about it.
It's
It was a good
fantastic.
night.
Well, you come on next mid-February. I'll have dinner with you in New York City. Darnell probably won't be able
Isn't
to
that
eat.
funny? Isn't that funny? You've been on. You've done some winter traveling this year. You've done winter traveling for 8 or 9 years now in the NBA.
Yes.
I go to the Super Bowl. You guys never get stuck anywhere. I go to the Super Bowl. I get stuck in New York City 3 extra days or 2 extra
That's
days.
it? I thought it was like a week.
There's 3. I got home on Thursday evening. Supposed to get home Monday evening.
My worst traveling experience this year was actually my first trip. It was going
San
to
Antonio?
No, it was never mind. That was my worst one.
Yeah.
But I've had 2 bad ones this year. I was going to Sacramento, and it was that day we had that weird fog just absolutely blanket the
Foggy
city.
Bear.
And I got delayed like 12 hours. And then in San Antonio, we had the ice storm. I had to drive to San Antonio.
In the middle
Flight
of an
got
ice storm.
complete- in the
I've
middle of
driven
an
to
ice storm.
San-
It was weird.
Many times I've driven to San Antonio.
Not in the middle of an ice storm you had.
It was in the middle of an ice storm, and then finally I got to Texas, and it seemed like the ice storm was done. It was clear for a while, and then
Here
it was
it
like a
came again?
monsoon.
Oh.
It was no longer ice, but I was like going through a monsoon. Like the roads were flooding. I kept, what do you call it again?
Hydroplaning.
Hydroplane. Man,
That's
it
scary.
was crazy. In a rental car that I'd never driven before. Man. Anyway,
You were going to ask something about All-Star Weekend.
I was just going to ask, what do you think's going to be better, the New Orleans one you went to or New York next year?
New Orleans, the compactness
It's
of
great.
the city.
It's
I mean,
condensed.
like-
Everything's within a mile or so.
And,
You were acting like that was the worst part of it.
I was. That's what I was saying. But it ended up being the best part because, it did take forever. Like, traffic was bad. It was as bad as I thought it would be.
In New Orleans?
Yes.
Well, don't get in your car.
I didn't. I didn't have a car. I was on the media shuttle.
There you go.
But, I mean, you could go from here to there. You could walk places.
Walk
I had to
on.
walk to the arena one time because traffic was so bad Saturday night.
Where were you? What were you? Hotel? Were you on the river?
Marriott Canal Street.
Oh. Well, yeah. You walk to the arena.
To the arena, yeah.
It's like 6 blocks.
It's more than 6 blocks.
It's
But
like 5 blocks.
it's more than 5 blocks. And
It's
you gotta
not very far.
And you got to fight through the masses of people on the street.
Your old pal Gilman had to walk to and from the Marriott Convention Center to the Superdome for the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's twice as far.
No.
Yes, it is.
It's almost the same distance.
What are you talking about?
Did you go to Bourbon Street?
I did go to Bourbon Street. I did everything that I said before the All-Star game. I just
Did you go to Mulots?
To what?
Mulots?
No, don't even know what that is.
Bourbon Street.
Cajun place.
I was there on a early December, like Wednesday or Thursday, and Bourbon Street was cracking.
It's crazy. It's a crazy place.
How was it on All-Star Weekend is my
packed.
question. Just crazy.
You could barely walk. People were just
away.
standing there. It was nuts.
That's
Maybe a decadent place.
That could be the best street in the world for people watching.
Yeah. I had a good time. That was my favorite All-Star weekend. That was my 6th. It was my favorite.
It was when we went to Houston, me and you and Gilman and Nate Billings, that wasn't your favorite?
My all-time favorite interview, or one of the two, came out of that All-Star weekend.
Chuck.
I ran into Charles Barkley on the street, Barry. I was walking to get some lunch at Mother's. I'm sure you've been to Mother's.
Been there, but it was there in December.
I was walking down the street. I see a kid in a Washington Wizards jersey, of all things, with his mother walking ahead of me. All of a sudden, the kid stops and poses for a picture with someone. But there's someone I couldn't see because of the street light. It was blocking his face. Just some guy in a blue shirt. And then he starts walking. I see his face. He walks right by me. It's Charles Barkley. And I'm thinking, where is everyone? You know, like Charles Barkley's just walking down the street by himself.
Why is he not being accosted more than just this woebegone child wearing a Wizards jersey?
Yeah. And so I turn around and I say, hey, Chuck, I cover the Thunder. I need to talk to you. And he stops and makes time. He wasn't as cordial as he was to us that one time in Houston.
Right.
And I think he was tired. He had just interviewed the president the day before.
It was a little bit of a come down. I mean, Barack Obama 1 minute, RMD the next. I mean, what do you expect the guy to do? It's like playing, like the Heat in their next game. They're probably going to play Philly or somebody.
They're playing the Bulls on Sunday.
Oh, well, that's
on
a good
ABC.
game.
So
that's a good game.
It's kind of like the Thunder now going to the Clippers.
I wonder if the Bulls will D up on them.
I would assume.
I bet the Bulls guard them.
Yeah, and that's about all the Bulls do. Bulls score 81 points. That's a decent game for them.
Scott Brooks, Coach of the Year?
In which league?
No. NBA.
Jeff Hornacek.
There's two guys, and it's Hornacek's far and away, and Carlisle's up there with him.
Carlisle? Why? Just because you didn't think the Mavs were going to be anything?
Nobody in their right mind. Some people thought the Mavs would be good, but anybody that did was misguided in the head.
I'd go Hornacek, and before Carlisle, I'd go Terry Stotts.
Terry Stotts, their team is tanking.
Dallas might catch Portland.
Okay, if that happens, then we'll readjust
How can you guys not give Scotty Brooks any love?
He's up there. He's up there.
He's got the best record in the league.
One of us loves Scotty Brooks, and I think it's me, but I just don't think he's Coach of the Year.
How can he not be Coach of the Year? 22-8 without Russell Westbrook.
He's got him a good ball team.
So does Terry Stotts.
Where did you put Phoenix
Jeff Hornacek
in your
does
power
not.
rankings?
They're 9th, I think.
No, where did you put them at the beginning
of the year? 29th.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't even think they were trying to win until they figured out they could, and then they
Scott
rearranged.
Brooks, to me, right now,
he's done a very good job.
If Phoenix holds
done a very good
it's Hornacek, right? But I think Scott Brooks deserves credit. And Greg Popovich, too.
Popovich is unbelievable.
I'm not saying Scott Brooks deserves a ton of credit. Greg Popovich has been great.
Tom Thibodeau.
Carlisle. Tom Thibodeau. I just think Jeff Hornacek, the job he's done is
Who's been the worst Coach of the Year? There's two candidates far and away. Nobody's close.
Do you include Mike Woodson?
No.
Who's the coach in Milwaukee?
Who cares?
Do they count?
Larry Drew came from Atlanta. He doesn't care. Well, they don't. There's two guys way above the fray.
Jason Kidd?
Jason Kidd is one of them.
They're a playoff team. What's their record?
Yeah, they're Stinko DeMarco.
They've been 15-6 since January 1st.
Who's the worst team in the West? Utah? Sacramento?
The Lakers. D'Antoni, is that the other guy?
No.
No.
It's a point guard in the NBA.
Jacques Vaughn.
Mark Jackson.
What?
What are you talking about, Barry?
They're
a massive disappointment.
I don't know about that.
They're fighting for a playoff berth, and they thought they were an NBA contender, a title contender.
It's the West, though.
They are in the West.
Well, I mean, I don't care if they're in the West. They're down there fighting Phoenix and Dallas. Phoenix and Dallas might squeeze them out.
I don't think it's happening.
Well, it may not happen, but it could.
Okay, last question, because we're probably running on nearly an hour now. Who is the second best team in the Western Conference?
I'm going
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Clippers.
Say the Clippers.
Shocking.
I think come playoff time, I think they're kind of rounding into form. Chris Paul's back, and Blake Griffin's taking the next step. It looks
so
like.
what you're saying